Welcome, friends, and thank you for tuning into the Optimal Health program today. Hope you're all doing well. I'm here in office with Super Frankie, manning the machines and all the spectacular electrical devices that we have working. Love to hear from you today. We're going to take a lot of questions, I know, because our Saturday program on LFA is live and we're on the front page of Rumble. So the last program, I think we did 180,000 views, and we had almost more questions than we could actually answer. So we'd love for you to tell your family and friends about the program. Call in, ask a question, text, or however you want to reach us, ask a question. We'd love to answer them. We are not limited to time here, so where most programs can go an hour, we can go beyond that, and we usually do. And we'd love to if you have information you'd like to hear about. Today we'll talk about a variety of things, about preventable risk factors for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, heart attack, stroke, etc. There are things that people could be doing right off the bat, even without having big risk or big heart issues. And of course, those who do have heart issues, to change the course of what's going to happen to your body. We're so sophisticated in testing now, we can determine that and help to guide you into a path where your body is significantly healthier, you're functioning like you did years prior. You know, there are lots of people on social media touting this or that, and people that aren't doctors who really can't explain anything to you. And part of what I've always done is explain as best I can so that people get a clear picture of to why we're talking about changing your health, your diet, correcting your vitamins, your hormones, all of that. So it becomes a great conversation when we can look at the entire picture and fine-tune you.
And I will just mention that our phone lines are operational today.
Ah, perfect.
So if you'd like to call in, the number, you can call us live, talk to us.
Absolutely. People don't call that much anymore because they just like to exercise their thumbs and their fingers. But you certainly can call us. You know, we like to hear from people. 888-420-9272. Interesting that I spent 35 plus years on radio, and there were no text or message coming from other than phone. And, you know, took 20, 30 phone calls per show and was limited to an hour. I had to try to get my point across quickly. It was a little bit more, I don't want to say stressful, but I had to be really tight within my discussion and answers. Couldn't tell like anecdotal stories or go beyond that, which of course we do a lot of that here. As many of our patients like, we talk about history, we talk some about politics, sports, although we will not talk about New York baseball until next year. Hopefully the teams will give us something good to talk about, etc. So we'll also talk about Moolah Farms, one of my favorite places to get great, healthy, organic food, amazing, fresh, raw, organic milk, eggs, meats, chicken of all types, bone broth, beef tallow. I'm reading from their little handout. Oven-ready meatballs, ground beef, burgers, steak, etc., T-bone, porterhouse, all different types of pork, honey butter, which really tastes amazing, by the way, because it's all natural. And the milk is crazy. You'll never drink regular milk again if you try their milk. A2 milk is called. As I said, pasture-raised eggs, Greek yogurt, they make it right there. Chocolate chip ice cream sandwich. I didn't have that one yet, but I will. The ice cream is very good, by the way. Banana bread, carrot bread, pumpkin bread, all these things. Pies. And every Sunday, they're in Huntington at a big fair. Not 100% sure where that is, but it's got to be in one of those gigantic parking lots in Huntington. Those places you can never get a parking spot in. They're also in Garden City on Saturdays. And I think Wednesdays at some point during the week go down to Long Beach. But MOOLA farm.com. Go to their Instagram, watch and look at what they're doing. Christina and Sal, great people. They put up some great videos, and she prepares foods and such. It just makes you hungry when you look at it. So, you know, be careful.
Don't start with me. Don't start with the food yet, buddy. I'm growling already.
We try to say don't go shopping for food on an empty stomach because you'll buy 10 times what you would normally buy because you're so hungry. So I'm probably guilty of doing that more than a few times. Okay, so let's talk about some cool stuff. all practical information, hot off the presses. And again, this is something I've done my entire career, so I love bringing information to people and telling them what's out there. Good research, well done research, and something that can impact your health and, help you be healthier. So cardiovascular disease, as everyone knows, heart failure, heart attack, stroke are the leading causes of death worldwide. Previous research shows there are a variety of modifiable life factors that can help to lower your risk. But we have to put all of this together. You can't do one thing and expect to have that significant improvement. So if we change 5 or 10 things, then your results are that greater. A new study reports that more than 99% of people who've had a heart attack, heart failure, or stroke had at least one of the 4 major risk factors above that's changeable. Scientists found out that out of the 4 risk factors, high blood pressure was the most common and potentially one of the more dangerous issues. But again, this is obvious, but we can change that. A new study of more than 6,000 adults reported that those individuals that had these conditions, and many of them started changing, losing the weight, cutting the carbs, doing the exercise, stopping the smoking, had some significant benefits. People were followed for 20 years, allowing scientists to see multiple measurements of blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, smoke exposure. And the takeaway point is that you'd want your blood pressure to be below the 80 on the bottom number. 120 over 80 or higher was a big risk. Fasting blood sugar over 100 is a risk. Past or current tobacco use, total cholesterol over 200, risk. So, and I've been talking about this for a very long time and talking about how to change these things, but we'll reiterate once again. Once we understand what your body's doing, you get a good blood test done. And the blood test that I do is about 20, 25 pages. We're looking at everything, vitamins, minerals, hormones, heavy metals through blood and urine, all the in-depth cardiovascular risk factors, ApoA, B, apolipoproteins, homocysteine, fibrinogen, C-reactive protein, etc. We can clearly see as we start to adjust the diet and cut the carbs down, your cholesterol and triglycerides will drop, LDL will drop. Excess sugar will drop. You'll be less hungry because you're not eating tons of sugar, making your blood sugar go too high, dumping insulin. Low blood sugar makes you crave. So that is an important part of changing your desire to eat foods that are not good for you. And a lot of people do. Homocysteine is lowered by correcting B6, B12, and folate. So we look at those levels. We'll look at your conversion or non-conversion of B12. Some people don't have the gene to make an enzyme to take B12 that's regular B12 and convert it into the usable form, methyl B12. You hear about methylation everywhere now. So you can't go on social media and listen to a person who says, oh, do a methylation test and take this or that. That's such a small part of the picture. You have to take that as part of the process. And if you don't convert the B12 into methyl, then you either need to take B12 that is methyl B12 already. And for the majority of our patients to really get good results in lowering homocysteine or in having that drop in cardiovascular risk, having energy, good focus, concentration from B12, you need to do little sub-Q injections of B12. That works really well. Some people do it once a week, some people twice a week. Some people start off doing it 3 times a week to load their body up and to really see that benefit. So we need to understand that. If your magnesium, potassium are low, higher risk of arrhythmias, we got to correct those nutrients. Your B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, all are very, very important. Exercise should be at least a half hour every day. And honestly, overwhelmingly, there aren't many people who can't do a half hour of activity a day. Some people like to walk, other people like to do elliptical, stair climber, any of these things, indoor, outdoor bike. You can get to the gym, you can do Pilates, yoga, just do something for a half hour, enhancing your body's ability to dilate your blood vessels, send nutrients and oxygen all over the place. You're training your body with daily activity to keep your blood vessels open so that, if someone who's never done exercise tries to run a block, they'll never do it because their body's not used to that demand. But people who do the exercise can go and run because their body says, okay, I know what you want, boom, and puts it right in place with dilating your blood vessels to deliver the blood, the nutrients, and the oxygen. So low carb, correcting vitamins, minerals, hormones, also very important because you need all your hormones to tell your cells and organs what to do, exercise, etc. So as we age, however, we're losing new cells in all of our organs, so they're not making the same neurotransmitters or hormones like they did before. So we may need to address that a little bit further. And for some people that have a significant decline or have significant degenerative issues, and we talk about doing stem cell therapy, because that's the only answer to the loss of your cells progressively. Putting new cells in brings them back to your organs, and they work as a younger, healthier organ. And we have a lot of information on that. So this needs to be done in a comprehensive fashion to get your best result. It's just basic science.
So we got a lot of happy Saturdays, Doc.
Good. Happy Saturday, people.
And
peeps.
This is one. Chris, do you have, this is just a little off topic, but not quite because, Halloween was yesterday. Did you have any kids on Halloween? Don't do Halloween anymore. This part.
Years ago, there were kids that would come around. I have a very long driveway, but
it's got a long driveway. If I was a kid, I'd skip that one.
It's not terribly well lit because I like living sort of back and where nobody can see or find me. But there used to be kids coming up during the day, but there really hasn't been. And honestly, I don't like giving out candy, sugary junk to kids. I would give them all sorts of different things.
Classic doctor over here.
That's probably why kids decrease, showing up. But I'd rather give them healthy stuff, healthy foods. No kid's going to want to have a little container of yogurt when they could have candy. So, yeah, maybe that's what's changed over time. Every year I've gotten the idea, because my friends, do it, to get dressed up. And when I used to go to Canada with friends up there, God bless them, we used to have a wonderful time. And in a big barn, all my Native American friends would have really serious costumes. I mean, like totally done up. They had a facility on the premises. They lived on a reservation. Very, very big business. And someone went as a cigarette box. So they were a perfectly made printed cigarette box. It was just, and you could open it and the person's head popped out and just crazy stuff. So I knew I had to up my game. So I went out and I bought a Chewbacca costume, which I thought was a great costume. Everybody loved it. They didn't know it was me. I would sit there and make that crazy noise. And the only problem was, and even though it was cold outside up in Canada, October 31st, it was a rubber suit with like fake hair on it. So it's a heavy, super hot rubber suit. So I'd be inside for 5 minutes, hanging around, dance a little bit, talk with my friends, go outside, take off the hat, the head part, and steam would come out because it was like 1,000 degrees in the suit. So you can't really wear it for that much time. I did that again locally with my friends. And last year, I bought 10-inch platform heels, like Gene Simmons would wear.
Where are we going with this?
In Kiss. Then I put 2-inch lifts, so I was 7 feet tall. I wore a Grim Reaper outfit. I could send you the picture, and if you want, you could show people what it looks like. A Grim Reaper outfit. I had one of those scary masks where the jaw moved, and just to be a little bit, more inventive, I took a speaker and I had it around my neck under the cloak. You know the Michael Jackson Thriller sound at the end where Vincent Price says, ah, ah. I looped that and I played that walking into a party. So it was a lot of fun. But this year I did not because, unfortunately, the suit of armor that I ordered did not arrive to my house in time. So I could not go to the party.
It was going to be a great costume.
But I will go next year. I might wear it for Christmas, or I might wear it for Thanksgiving, just to,
Well, you got to tell them what it is. It was great.
It was a Templar suit of armor, so it's a serious full suit of armor. I bought one for my house many years ago when I moved to the house. I put it in the library. It's all cool and stuff, and they're a company that made it. And I figured, maybe I'll wear that. But I went to try it on. I couldn't get my arm through the metal of the arm thing and the leg thing. It's made for a very small person, so who doesn't have biceps. So, yeah. So I'll have to prepare a little bit better for next year, but I will.
It happens.
Yeah, so Halloween comes around every year. I'd rather have people give out healthy things than not healthy things.
We got this one medical related. Why do some people with normal cholesterol still end up with heart disease?
Because there are 50, a great question, by the way, because there are probably 50 things that can cause plaque in your blood vessels. So it's not only total cholesterol, not only triglycerides, not only low HDL, high LDL. There are three different sizes or shapes of LDL, small, medium, and large. The small LDL is really bad because that can add plaque to blood vessels. Infection can do it. Epstein-Barr virus, cytomegalovirus, herpes viruses, all sorts of bacteria, so that raises the number way closer to 50. High homocysteine from low vitamins, and then you could count all the low vitamins that correlate with increased free radical damage and plaque. C-reactive proteins, typically an inflammatory marker that in most cases we can chop down by using vitamin C. Heavy metals, we've documented that, and even I went over a great article a couple of weeks ago on the podcast here as to how heavy metals bind to the bad LDL cholesterol, become a foam cell, and become plaque. It's an absolute. It's not even a question. Probably 30 years ago, a little bit more, when I started learning about chelation therapy, a technique that's used to remove metals primarily, research was saying that we believe that the metals bind and become plaque, and they do. So this is just more research proving the same thing. So the list goes on and on and on. So when we look at all of those risk factors, we can tell a person, apropos to the comments I made with the preventing your heart disease issue, if we look at this early and we start to get these things out of the picture, you burn down your fats, your vitamins are up, your hormones are great like they were 10 or 15 years ago, you get the metals out of the picture, you're changing all of these risk factors. It's an absolute. We do it and do it all the time. The beauty with the IV treatment with calcium EDTA to pull the metals is that, let's say a person comes in for their consult, we sit and talk, I examine them, and then we're doing both blood and urine for metals. Urine's more accurate. It's 21 metals. It's a reflection of what's leaving your cells into the urine. Blood is just showing you what recently came in that hasn't been stored yet, so it's free-floating. So you're getting two good pictures. If we do an IV that pulls them out and binds to them irreversibly and takes them out into the urine, we do a urine right after the IV so we can see what's come out from what we've pulled. And then if you do 10 treatments, you repeat the urine at the 10th. Now you look at the first urine, the second urine, and you can see how much you've depleted. So it's scientific. It's a brilliant way to know that you're getting these things out of the picture. Besides you telling me that, hey, this is better, that's better, my memory's better, my focus is better, my headache's changed, they're gone or almost gone, my vision seems to be better. So we're tracking every component. So there are ways to learn about your body and check here and there to prove the results. So that's why we do it that way.
How much does genetics play a part in heart disease?
Probably some percentage. I don't know how high that percentage is because when you look at all the risk factors, like I just mentioned, they're all changeable. I can change anyone's cholesterol, and I don't use meds. Now, even traditionally, doctors may say, oh, yeah, we'll use Lipitor or any of the statins. We don't use them at all because they wipe out your CoQ10. In the pathway of making cholesterol is the creation of your own CoQ10 by your body. The mechanism that's blocked is right before production of your CoQ10. So you're wiping out all your CoQ10 just by taking the medication. That's why so many people have problems with their muscles, aches and pains, cramping, because you're wiping the CoQ10. And mitochondria, every cell, and of course muscle cells maybe a little bit more, need CoQ10. And a lot of people that go on the statins will have a decreased ejection fraction because their heart muscle is not contracting as well as it did without the CoQ10. This is kind of like common sense stuff, once you really think about it. But I'd rather put great things on board, low carb, a lot of exercise, use any of the natural cholesterol-lowering combinations, berberine, red yeast rice, etc. So there are a lot of ways to do it naturally, and you don't have to have side effects.
Oh, I like this question. Sorry. Ooh, got a little dust bunny in there. Is this the man that cures diabetes?
Well, cures is not a word that we use because someone's going to have a problem with that somewhere. But Yeah, we have most of our patients that are type 2 diabetics. When we do the same process, and again, it's the whole thing, low carb, exercise, correct vitamins, minerals, hormones, and stem cells, we see that those people over the course of 4 to 5 months, their blood sugar is dropping significantly because of all of that. Stems can go to your pancreas to make brand new cells to become pancreatic cells that make insulin. So you're covering every part of that picture. And if you look at the videos on the website, you'll see a couple of great videos on how we've reversed type 2 diabetes. We even have type 1 patients that are taking very small amounts of meds because even the type 1s, their pancreas is still connected to their blood flow. It may take a second treatment to get, that greater result from that type 1 diabetic, but it's brilliant. They're your cells. That's the most natural thing you could do is use your own cells to repair your body. So we'll get some great results with our diabetics. And granted, some people come in and they're skeptical. It's funny, too, because, how can I put it? Some people are so ingrained in what the traditional approach says. Drug. Doctor who may be the specialist or the big shot at the hospital who runs the program at the top guy I hear all the time. And I say, but you're on more and more meds for diabetes, but you're still eating a high-carb diet, your hormones are low, your vitamins are low, and you're not doing exercise. So how great is the head of the program if you're not fixing all these other really simple things? But that's just a different train of thought. And they say, well, if this worked, then why isn't there more literature? I said, there's at least 5 million studies on one search engine. I'll show you. I'll pull it up on, the computer. And people are flabbergasted. And sometimes their doctors say, oh, there's not enough research. Of course there is. Or we're not there yet. What does that even mean? We're not there yet. It's been proven so many times over and over again as to those cells will go and become brand new cells where you have damage. So at any rate, they look at me like I have 3 heads sometimes. And then we start the process to say, oh, you know what? After I told them to cut the carbs down, do the exercise, a week later, we go over their blood work. They're like, hey, you know what? You were right. I'm like, duh. I've only done this a few thousand times a year. I like to joke around with my patients, too, so you have to know that. I joke around with everybody. I'll say, yeah, so tell me. Now my bloating's gone away. I'm sleeping a little bit better. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night. I don't feel as, full or bloated out, etc. My skin seems to be clearing up. So they start to see a lot of this. And then another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of that, they just do better and better and better and better. And it works. It always works because that's the mechanism your body uses to deal with all that sugar. And once you fix the machine, you're better. Thank you for the comments, by the way.
Great. Love that. This is someone whose mother has some plaque in their arteries, but not major. Wondering if that could actually be reversed or just slowed down.
So you certainly can slow it down. In some cases, it can be reversed. We've seen that over the years, but it's got to be that same, thorough protocol, like you would imagine. I make a lot of analogies. Sometimes they're stupid. Sometimes they're funny. I think most of the times they're funny. I don't think they're always too stupid. But, if you buy a car, you're not just going to drive it, an older car like your favorite car when you were younger, and see what happens. You fix the spark plugs, the engine, whatever you have to do to make the car run beautifully. Your mechanic does that. Now the car runs great. So the same thing, if we could fine-tune the mechanism, lower your carbs, exercise, correct vitamins, minerals, hormones, and et cetera, using some of the treatments like chelation, et cetera, your body will do a lot better. And you're preventing that from getting worse. And in many cases, we see people seeing the plaque decrease. So it's learning everything we can about your body and then putting together the right program to create your best outcome and best result. Now remember, people that have plaque will develop more plaque unless you intervene significantly. People that are diabetic will get worse. They'll live shorter lives, even on meds. And when they say you're in control, a lot of people are not in control because they still develop neuropathy and vascular issues and blindness and erectile dysfunction and all those things. I'd rather make a person non-diabetic so they don't have those things happen in the future. And we keep tracking them to prevent that from happening.
Love our Rumble crowd. Just saying.
The Rumblers, absolutely. Our favorite.
Our favorite.
The LFAs.
The LFAs. How big of a role does stress play in heart disease? I keep telling my husband to relax from his work because I think that it could damage some things.
Stress makes everything worse because it either can overuse your hormones, so you could be using more than you could make, and your hormones will be lower, like DHEA, which is a stress hormone, so that's important. And I tell everybody, even people that are not under horrible stress, but everybody's got some kind of stress. The other day I got a call from the police department where I live that my 2 lovely dogs were out and about, scaring people in the neighborhood because they're just big dogs. So, and the police are really very, very nice there. Hey, Chris. I'm like, not again. So I guess one of the people, working on cleaning the house and yard and cutting the grass and all left the gate open. So they bolted. Zeus is chill. He'll just sit there and go, hey, how you doing, man? And they'll just hang out. He'll sit by their feet. And, he's easy to corral, although he's been known on more than one occasion to get off the property, go down the street, go down to the beach, and walk over to Billy Joel's house and sit on his back porch. This has happened numerous times. Thank God he's a dog lover, and he's a very kind person. I've met him many times over the years at various restaurants and events, but at least he's got a good taste in music, but he loves to wander a little bit. Every dog does. Delilah, on the other hand, she's just kooky, and she'll just get out and run around, and she'll run and stop, and she'll run really fast and stop. She'll smell everything that she can smell, stick her nose into stuff. It took 4 policemen to kind of corral her, and her getting tired to be able to get them back and put them in my house. So, not a horrible stress, a little bit of stress. But I tell everybody, easy stress techniques: sit there in a chair, recliner, bed, whatever. You could be at work, you could be anywhere. Close your eyes and imagine your favorite place in the world. It could be by the beach, it could be in the mountains, it could be whoever you love to be with. Just focus in and have some guided visual imagery on that and think of it over and over again, or just do 5 or 10 minutes of that like a meditation. Automatically reverses the mechanism, gives your body a chance to repair, and the stress starts to decrease. You're not going to see an overwhelming result the first time you do it, potentially, but if you do it every day, and for some people that do it a couple of times a day, just zoning out makes all the sense in the world. It's a great idea. And everybody I've recommended to said, hey, that's the easiest thing I've ever heard, and I love it. The reason why in my office I have really nice posters that are art posters like Alphonse Mucha, who is a genius in just gorgeous, caricatures of women. A lot of the things that he did were advertisements for champagne or soap and different things, but they're all beautiful posters. And I have pictures of where I've been throughout the world: Italy, France, Germany, Monaco, Saint-Tropez, all the different places I've been. I can sit back and look at the picture. I'm like, I remember that. I remember going there, doing this, feeding the birds in St. Mark's Square, that sort of thing. So it kind of brings me back to that, so I can zone out myself a little bit.
There we go.
Nothing like a little zone out.
He said, I bet your fur babies are pretty dogs.
They're adorable.
Oh, you don't even...
Do you have a picture to pop up or no?
Let me check. Let me check on that.
Delilah's so big now. Zeus is full. He's like a big, thick 8-year-old German Shepherd, getting a little gray. Delilah, on the other hand, is not even 2 yet, but she's bigger than Zeus by a lot. She's got to be 160 pounds, and he's maybe 120. She's taller on her back, but she's very connected. Like, she'll just jump on me thinking she's like a little dog. And she's not. And sometimes, when I see her when I get back from work, or, can I wake her up in the morning, she'll just put her paws on my shoulders. I have to make sure she doesn't hit me in the face. And put her nose right in my nose. It's like, hey, it's like the morning kiss. I'm like, that's more affection than most girls, I think, that I've ever dated. But no.
I can't find the picture at the moment.
She's awesome. Well, we have more time here. I could always send one over to you.
Yeah.
But, and then she'll just sneak up behind me because she's very stealth. She's a very big stealth dog. She'll put her head between my legs and look up. And now I'm sitting on the back of like a little pony, a horse, and I have to scratch her ears and then, give her a kiss. And these are her requirements. Zeus is just like, hey, and he's good.
Put it this way. I'm 6'2", and Delilah goes in between my legs.
And it's hard to
lifts
kind
me
of
off
get
the
her,
ground. It's like a horse.
you know, it's hard to kind of get her off and down. So, and to get off her, it's like getting off a little bit of a Bronco.
Exactly.
So she's just a very kooky but lovable
Send that to me.
dog.
I'll throw it up.
This is a picture of Delilah. On every morning, she goes out and has to survey my yard. And she's a big, long dog. I mean, she's long, like longer than Zeus. And her back is higher than my inseam, so she's a little bit of a character. And there's another picture of her, and this is back a year ago, this picture. So she was even that big a year ago, and she's even bigger now. Let me see how to send this one over.
I never knew that a dog can get so big, to be honest with you.
Some of them just get really big. Excuse me.
Some dust bunnies.
Thank you. Yeah, there got to be a few.
Here we go.
So
Look at this beauty, huh? Look at that beauty.
yeah, she's gigantic, and people come over and like, oh my God, is she, safe? Is she mean? I'm like, no, she's the sweetest dog. But let me tell you, she's not gonna leave you alone. Somebody comes over, like a new person, they're like, she just, we'll run around them, jump up on them. It's too funny. And the second picture is both of them.
Got that up.
But Delilah, wants to look at every area. One of my neighbors, very nice guy, Evan, is doing some work on his property, and the guy's out there doing some stuff and raking and cleaning, and invariably Delilah and Zeus have to bolt over there to say hello. Hi guys, we're here. I'm like, oh, please come back. But that's the fun of having big dogs. So Garden City office, 516-794-0404. Don't want to forget that. Website, drcalapai.com. The vitamin pack we're doing with everybody is working really well, because the beauty of looking at your blood test for vitamins and understanding your medical concerns and putting together perfect vitamin recommendations for you is there. And then you have a pack in the morning, you take a few things, and I could put anything in the pack. Their manufacturer makes a couple of hundred different things, but I'll put them in together based upon your blood test. Do it again around dinner time. You go out to dinner, take your pack with you, take your nutrients. Works beautifully. Then within a month of starting them, we'll just recheck to make sure your vitamins are perfect. You couldn't get better than that. Also, our vitamin representative, Danny's going to come on within the next couple of shows, talk about different things that we're doing, some vitamin combination specials, so people can take advantage of that knowledge as well. And RPM, remote patient monitoring for our Medicare patients. If you have Medicare, we'd love for you to call the office and ask about it. If you have hypertension, diabetes, arrhythmia, obesity, or overweight, we can typically get you set up with a glucometer to take it home to check your blood sugar, or blood pressure cuff, scale, a smartwatch to look at your oxygen, your pulse, your rhythm, etc. And the greatest thing a doctor could ask for in this day and age with all the AI, etc., is to be able to have lots of readings of your blood pressure. If you see a doctor 3 times a year, sometimes less, you only have 1 or 2 or 3 readings. It's not that good. You don't know what's going on all the time. So if we're able to see, and the person checks their pressure every day, and it automatically goes into our computer, we can track it. So we've got a beautiful look. Mrs. Manicotti, look, your blood pressure is amazing. You're doing so well. Keep doing what you're doing. And same thing with blood sugar, etc. And I think Medicare loves the idea of the doctor following the patient a little bit more, doing telehealth visits, and keeping people from going for that big ER visit, which will cost them a ton of money, $100,000 ER visit. So keeping people healthy and the preventive medicine aspect of this is genius. So we love it. So if you have Medicare, you want to find out about it, give us a call, 516-794-0404.
Yeah, I can't wait. This vitamin thing is just great. And you guys
so it's taken a long time because no manufacturer wanted to do this where other than they'd have to make 1 million capsules of vitamin C, 1 million capsules of E and D and all these other things. But we were able to get this mechanism done so we could tailor it to specifically what your need is. And that's what the blood test shows us. So never been done before.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Okay, we got some people been complaining about, I didn't even know this, but I guess tomorrow must be daylight savings.
Yeah.
Said, I don't like it. But remember to change your clocks back.
I've never been a fan of it, because sometimes you forget to do it. Luckily, your phone does it automatically, and sometimes I say, oh, wow, guess I have to do that. But now we get an extra hour of sleep, which I can't really complain about. Yes, sleep's a good thing. Very important. I wish it would just straight through. You didn't have to do any of it.
Yeah. Well, what I found out is that the actual, if we were to, people were saying, oh, we got to get rid of daylight savings. But then I found out that the actual time that they would decide is the winter, where everything gets dark really early. That's the actual, that would be the whole year.
Getting dark really early.
Right. Instead of that summer when you're like, oh, look, it's still light out. Like, this is great. So then.
There's a lot to be said for that, because I'm a sunshine, outdoor, warm weather, get me out of here kind of person. And I'd love to wake up and see a beautiful sunny day. There's nothing more exciting than that. If I wake up and it's dark out, it's like, and then I look at my app on the phone and I say, it's going to be a nice day today. And then I'm either happy or aggravated. So that's a good point.
This was, I guess, regarding when you were talking about Billy Joel, asking if you saw the video of Mandami watching. And I did see this, so I could explain this to you, Doc, if you
No,
want.
I didn't see it.
There's a video of Mamdani, this socialist psychopath that's running and probably going to be running New York City soon. There's a video of him listening to a song, and it's a very popular Billy Joel song. And they go, oh, like, do you who sings this song? Do you know the song? And he's listening to it, and it's like, Bottle of Red.
Yeah.
Bottle of White. He's like, no idea. I never heard of it. And it's just the saddest, horrible.
Even based upon that, he should not be allowed to become mayor.
Should be disqualified.
How do you become mayor of New York, where one of the biggest New York-loving singers and musicians forever, how do you not know his music? Because you're listening to radical other stuff. Or you're listening to some of that crazy other, I don't know what.
Something in the Middle East, probably.
Every time I'd see Billy Joel over many years, and I would see him out in East Hampton at the restaurants. Hey, Billy, how are you? I went to a restaurant in Oyster Bay a while back, and he was there with one of his wives, not Christy Blinken. Hey, buddy, how are you? We're neighbors. Very nice, very charming, very nice. He had that motorcycle store there in town, and you go see him in there. He's just a nice local Long Island guy. Unassuming, no airs, no stupidity, nothing else. Very appreciative when he would see fans, because he's still, like Long Island people, he still appreciates, that connection with other people, from the area. So he's done a lot, raises a lot of money for Long Island. I've gone to a lot of his concerts. I think I went to when it was Elton John and Billy Joel and Clapton years ago at what was Shea Stadium. So, yeah, I think he's a great guy. I'd rather have him for mayor.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Good music playing all the time. Speakers in the streets playing his music. There'd be no crime. Everybody would be hanging out, having fun.
And we lost him, too. He's in Florida now, right?
Yeah, it seems that, rational people who can afford to go down to Florida and get some big property are doing that, like our friend Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
He's a very nice guy as well. And I first met Sean a few years ago when one of my patients, albeit one of my slightly crazy patients, a martial art person who had a TV show in New Orleans, would call me and he would come into the city and, hey, let's go to dinner. I'm like, okay, Very interesting person, and has a huge knowledge of everything historical and Genghis Khan and war. And I'm talking about Steven Seagal. So when you're one-on-one alone with him, he's just great knowledge and, it's just cool stuff. So we go to meet Sean at his studio. They interviewed Steven. I said, hey, we're neighbors. He lives a couple of houses from me. He was so nice, invited me back, etc. I should have gone back more often than I did. But I would see him in local restaurants near where I live. And the restaurants love him to death. They'd roll out the carpet for him because he literally, and I'll tell you, maybe he doesn't want it to be known, but everybody knows it. He gives huge tips. He goes out to dinner with 1, 2, 3 people. He'll give $1,000 tip. I mean, he's an awesome guy. Very driven, very intelligent, very, very, very friendly.
That's Hannity you're talking about?
Sean Hannity. Terrific, terrific guy. And everybody loves him. Everybody from anywhere, wherever he goes, they love him.
So, some in the chat say that he, may be a CIA asset, but other than that, we like it.
My dog could be a CIA asset. I have no idea. Now, depending on what the CIA does, and with all this stuff we're hearing about the international spy game, ring, whatever, I don't even know what to think anymore. I just don't believe anything. I'm skeptical, and I need to have things proven to me, especially with our poor friend, Charlie. I have a lot of thoughts that I feel even worse for him than I did before.
As you sip from that beautiful, beautiful mug.
Our Charlie mug. I have my Charlie wristband. I have Charlie shirts, hats. I liked his demeanor. I liked his ability to discuss things with other people, even people that were so insanely crazy and, vicious. I liked that he supported the family. I liked that he supported, women and, wanted men to take care of women. You don't hear that at all anymore from anybody. And I just think, he's gone too soon. I think he was a great voice in the conservative world and for good old-fashioned values. I mean, who comes out talking about good old-fashioned values? Nobody. So it's a shame that whatever mechanism decided that he had to go because it wasn't suiting their need. And people could read into that. I mean, if you watch Candace Owen, you watch a variety of some of these people who are digging into this entire picture, you'll see that it was a coordinated military event that caused him to be killed. So
we're definitely not getting the right story. There's
no,
not even
you're not.
question.
Everything from, the gun and the bullet to not locking down the crime scene and the doctor who may have done the autopsy and other people that threatened him. It's just, but I tell people, keep looking, keep learning, make up for yourself, make your own mind up from what you see and get information from as many sources as possible. Every time I see a video, I send it to Frank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and all my friends are like, oh my God. I said, yeah, this is what you're dealing with. This is not a normal, mom and pop, apple pie Chevrolet scenario with politicians and all these other people that are vying for power, money, and support. We'll see.
We'll see. It's unbelievable. We do have another medical question I didn't get to.
Oh, medical questions.
I know. It's we're
good
having a good
now and
time
then.
here. Is moderate alcohol actually heart healthy, or is that old research? Because I do enjoy my red wine and I always think I'm doing something right.
I think red wine is fine because historically, and I've seen this over 39 years, people that have a glass of red wine with dinner, and sometimes two, are fine. And if those people are exercising, and let's just add to making that better. If a person is drinking a glass or two of red wine, but they're eating junk food all day, they're not exercising, you're not going to be healthy. The wine's not going to really do anything for you if the other parameters are out of whack. But if you're eating right, you're keeping the carbs down, you do some walking every day, you test your vitamins, correct your vitamins, look at your hormones, fix those, then a glass of two wine for dinner is fine. It's not a problem. We never see it create problems. It's funny, too, because even people that are diabetic, if you fine-tune the rest of the foods and they have a glass of wine, they're pretty fine. So I don't think there's anything negative. There's antioxidants in wine, so that's good. So, but then some people say, I drink a little bit. How much? A fifth or two a day. What? I remember a story. I smoke a little bit. How much smoke? A couple packs a day. I'm like, okay. Didn't anybody in the last 50 years of your life ever tell you that might not be a good idea?
Cut it down a little bit. Maybe one pack.
Everyone has their own reality. And sometimes it's not reality. It's a wishful thinking reality, which will always get you in trouble. Like Elon Musk says. Wishful thinking will get you in trouble because you're wishing for the answer from someone or wishing for an outcome that may not happen, but you're kind of putting all your eggs in that one basket.
What is the most important screening that you should get to know their real heart risk? Is it the blood test that you're talking about? Is it an ultrasound?
It's the blood test that we do because we're looking at multiple risk factors, 15 or so things. But I would also recommend, depending upon the individual, a sonogram of the carotids in the neck so we can see if there's any plaque in the blood vessels. Some companies will do the transcranial to look for plaque in the blood vessels in the head. If you have plaque in your neck, we might even do an MRA, which is a blood vessel test, MRI, for your brain to look for plaque. And the MRA of your brain, just like an MRI of your brain, could tell us if you have vascular changes, which could lead towards vascular dementia. Because if you don't have good blood flow, you have ischemia, you could lose oxygen, vitamin, mineral, hormone delivery to your brain. Echocardiogram is great to look at how your heart contracts, how your valves open and close, if they're damaged, wall movement of the heart. So there are 20 parameters on an echocardiogram that are important. These are all easy tests to do. It's not invasive to just put gel on your chest and take a device and take a bunch of pictures. Abdominal vessels, lower extremity vessels, we recommend that all the time. So you're getting a good full picture of the cardiac concern. For some people that have arrhythmias, we'll have them do a monitor where you wear it for a week, and we can see every single heartbeat for a week. So 60 beats per minute times 24 hours a day times 7 days, it's 600 some odd thousand heartbeats. So it's great to gather that kind of information. So we do that.
Someone said, you caught me. I'm trying to get off the cigs.
Whatever you can, do whatever you can to get off them. Some people use the meds, Chantix, the patches, whatever you can do. Some people use auriculotherapy where they take these little steel things and press them into your ear, cover them with tape so you're getting some sort of a stimulus, like a acupuncture type stimulus, whatever works.
Yeah, we've been getting some comedians the past couple of days, but my family says heart disease runs in our blood. I say dessert runs in mine. Which one should I worry about first?
It depends upon how severe the heart disease and how young the person is that gets it. Because if everybody has heart disease and are 90 years old, well, yeah, the whole world has heart disease at 90 years old. So if it's a younger population that gets the heart issue in the family, then that's much more to worry about. I'm not saying you can't have dessert. I'm just saying if you keep the carbs down most of the week and you have a dessert on the weekends, and maybe you add some more exercise in and around that dessert, you'll burn that sugar so it doesn't affect you. So you can have some of these things, but just do it in a better way. Some people like to have ice cream, and there's Carb Smart ice cream by Breyers. So it's very low carb ice cream. So there are ways to, cheat the picture a little bit, enhance your odds. I remember a good friend of mine in college, not the one that you and I are talking about over the past couple of weeks. My friend Bob, his dad passed away at 46 or 48 while we were in college of a massive heart attack that nobody really knew about. And then his uncle, same thing. When he reached that age, he passed away. And then the doctors started to say, hey, every man in the family has to be tested. And when Bob was tested, he had the same defect and risk. So thank God they just worked on minimizing his risk, decrease the clotting issue, and he's doing great. And he's 60-something. But there are certain circumstances where that does happen. So we have to look for that. I ask about that because I ask patients about family history of medical problems all the time because I want to be able to see what may be hiding in the background.
Sorry, my main computer is frozen right now, so I'm laptopping it here.
There you go. We can still get questions, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, interesting story, how small the world is. We finished a podcast one day and just walking past your desk and I saw right out in the open a name of someone. I looked, I'm like, wow, I know that guy. Could it be the same guy? Then I asked Frank and he asked his parents if that he went to Adelphi University for a year and then left to work at his family's construction business. And they said, yes. I said, my God, that was my really good friend first year of college. And I said, that's so crazy. How is it possible that that could be sitting right there? I see that. Ask. And we spoke. So we had a great conversation for like an hour a week or so ago. And this week we're going to meet for dinner. But wow. It's just the world kind of throws some really funny, nice things at you every now and then.
That was insane. I mean, I literally had a paper on the desk, and it was just on the smallest part of it. It says this man's name.
I said, could that possibly be? And then all these memories are coming back like flashbacks that we used to get together, hang out, play sports, dated a lot, because that's what you're doing your first year in college. But we had a wonderful time. But yeah, small world.
Crazy. So if stress causes heart disease, does that mean my boss is technically a health hazard?
It could very well be. I've heard that before. It can be. So my question is, how do you deal with people that are stressing you? You got to figure out a way to get some sort of change in that stress mechanism, whether you do your little 5-10 minute, stress reduction visualization, as I mentioned, or maybe just sit the boss down and just try to have a different conversation with them. And I hear all the time from my patients, how do I get my husband to take out the garbage? And I'll say, I said, this time of year, this season? They say, yes. I said, well, it's football season, and it's the end of the baseball season. So I said, I want you to try something. You've heard of Pavlov's dog and Skinner's rat? These are psychology studies where they took dogs and would ring a bell, and every time before the food was put out, they'd ring a bell. The dogs knew to run to the bowl. There was no food in the bowl. They'd put food in the bowl, they'd feed. Conditioning. Brilliant. Skinner's rat was the same thing, where the rat had to press the bar, and then they would feed it. So I'm not saying anything other than maybe just take an ice cold beer, open it up before the game starts, put it on the table, put it where the recliner is on the couch, maybe put some snack, maybe crudités with, dip, something healthy, and just put it there and don't say anything. And if he says, where'd this come from? I don't know. Now you're going to bewilder him, and he'll think, oh my God, why is this happening? And subconsciously, he will think, wow, will this happen every time I watch the game? Or every time I take the garbage out? So that's one way to do it.
Someone said that they're taking notes. I like your style.
There are people that I know that are really, really super intelligent with interpersonal communications. A good friend of mine was a high-end narcotics investigator agent back in the day. And if he asks you questions, there's no way you can lie to him, because he can see your movement, the way you look down to the right or the left, whatever all the parameters are. And they know how to do this. So I said, maybe this will work with some people. That little stimulus. Or, as I've done many times, let's say I'm in the mood to go out for Mexican food or French or whatever kind of food. I may just put a cookbook on the edge of my table of that type of food. So, you might glance and see it subliminally. That word goes in your head, and when you say, hey, we want to go for dinner? I don't know, maybe we should go out for French. So you're prepping the answer even before you ask the question, because how many guys and girls? I mean, come on. This is going on since the beginning of time, since ancient Egypt. Hey, where do you want to go for dinner? I don't know. What about you? What about you? What about you? You want to go here? No. Want to go there? No. Want to go there? No. So it's not a bad idea to kind of subliminally sort of see if you can go where you want to go by putting some suggestion there.
There was I can't remember if it was a show, what it was, but it was a wife who, she loves hibachi, right? So every time throughout the course of a year or so, every time the husband would suggest, you want to go to hibachi, she would sneeze, right? Like, yeah, I'll go to hibachi. And then eventually she'd be like, what do you think you want to do? And then she'd sneeze, and then he'd be like, what about hibachi?
Hey, it works.
Years in the
There's
making.
even a funny movie with, I don't know if if it were Will Smith and somebody, they were trying to get a man to gamble on a certain number in a football game. And all day, they put number 17 on a bus that went by where he worked. He saw that number. And other people walked by with the number. And they kept showing this number. So by the time they were at the football game and they asked him who he wanted to bet on or what he wanted to bet, it came up as 17 because multiple times that image was in his head at the number 17, which is traditionally a lucky number and what people gamble on anyway.
I didn't even know that.
Like blackjack, yeah. Roulette. So, and 17 with blackjack. But you might be able to just suggest something, and it might work.
Someone said, "You're Italian, Doc, right? Did they give you the X-ray glasses?" Listen, they're discriminating against Italians. I think. We got to find out what that investigation's all about.
But yeah, whatever makes things nice and easygoing is what we like. Nothing wrong with, little pre-suggestion. Why not?
Oh man! All right, what else do we got? We're still in our first article too. We got questions.
Let's see.
How much does eating processed food or sugar contribute to heart disease?
It's bad because the majority
to saturated fat. Though.
Yeah, majority of the stuff that are in the processed foods either creates inflammation, free radical damage. It's just bad stuff getting into your system, and there's not a lot of nutrient in it. So everyone's seen that picture of a hamburger that a person kept in the hamburger bag with the French fries and, for a year, and it didn't break down.
That's heinous.
There's another one where someone takes a torch and tries to burn, the bun. And I'm looking at it like, what sort of sorcery is this? I said to myself. But it's true. There's, you're not eating real stuff when you do that. And then sometimes you see on other videos that they make things that are plastic look like lettuce, and they make rice from things that, you wouldn't want to eat. So there are a lot of things in food you don't want to have. Hence the reason why I talk about Moolah Farms, the nicest people I know, and buying organic, healthy food or growing food in your own house or your property if you can. Have your own garden. Then, what's that thing you put in your kitchen or your living room and you have your food there? Garden, Gardyn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that device, you can grow your vegetables. Why not? Perfectly controlled. Healthy, safe. Just don't put all the bad things in your body over and over again. I remember a while back there was a guy named Morgan who did a movie about Supersize Me or something. And all he did was eat that food, and he gained like 30 pounds in no time and felt miserable. Well, yeah, that's kind of what happens.
I heard there's a guy who did that with, instead of the hamburgers, he did marijuana.
I mean, I guess
and I think he ended up okay.
But he had no anxiety. He slept really well.
Maybe gained a few.
Maybe gained a few pounds because he was eating like a horse afterwards, or, maybe his math skills weren't as good. But, hey, who knows? There actually is an article here.
It was called Super High Me. That was
Super High Me, yeah. There's an article here somewhere where we were talking about decreasing the Alzheimer's mechanism.
Real quick, just on that.
Yep.
Someone just said, and I was actually just going to ask this question to you, but Suzanne, our girl, I wish RFK Jr. would get rid of biofood in our food quicker. Yeah, it is. Things are slow, but there's a lot of red tape to cut through probably.
I think that anything happens on that level, on a mass level, when you're dealing with companies that are putting all sorts of crap into food, I mean, the fact that they're agreeing to take stuff out is miraculous. The fact that he's able to do this is miraculous. Yes, we would all like for it to be done and over with tomorrow, but it's going to take time. And everything that he's worked on, I believe in wholeheartedly. So I'm a huge fan of his. Got to figure out how to meet him or interview him on the podcast, etc. But very, very big fan of his. And what he's doing is terrific. And I've heard other people say negative things. Well, he, did drugs back. I'm like, so?
They were their best friend when he was a liberal.
Yeah, who cares back in the day? And even members of his family are angry at him going after Big Pharma. I'm like, why?
Yeah. And someone who did do, hard drugs like him, like who knows better that there's such a big problem?
Yeah. But think of all the things that he's doing that are really, really important for everybody, in the country and beyond, who are eating foods that they shouldn't be eating or eating chemicals they shouldn't be eating. Put everything else aside, whatever your religious or whatever your political ideas are. Is it a good thing to get all the crap out of the food? Yeah. Who cares who it is? It's great. Do it. And the people that are resisting against it are either people getting paid by the companies that are making all this stuff bad or the chemical companies. It's ridiculous.
Insanity. The man's got articles. No shortage.
Yes, we have so many things to chat about. I had a good article on CBD decreasing the Alzheimer's mechanism and progression. Oh, there it is. So, apropos to our comment, CBD is one of over 400 compounds found in the cannabis plant. And CBD has been used over many years and very well with inflammation, anxiety, a variety of different things. And now they're saying some neurologic benefit can occur with it. They're using it in studies with Parkinson's disease. And now they're talking about neuroinflammation in Alzheimer's disease. So it may very well be a natural ingredient that can work to change the mechanism. Other things they've used it for: epileptic seizures, anxiety, migraine, chronic pain, post-traumatic stress disorder, glaucoma, managing cancer symptoms. So I think this is a great idea. And again, all the things that we talk about that are natural make all the sense in the world. And there are people that opt to use a little bit of THC with the CBD or just the CBD straight alone. So you certainly can ask your doctor about it. Medical marijuana has been around for a long time and people are doing very well with it. But CBD, even without any of the THC, works extremely well. So why not? Look at what people are using for pain and getting addicted. And everybody knows the story about the OxyContin and that family of people who were billionaires that just kept pushing a dangerous drug on people and people were dying. They were sued for billions of dollars, but were still fine because they made many billions of dollars. It's just horrible.
Yeah, and then I've heard about, I don't know if you've heard this, but, back when, the Vanderbilts and I forget who, it may have been, who's the other one? It was the Vanderbilts and the
Roosevelt's, Vanderbilts.
I think it was the Roosevelts. They owned like all the paper mills.
Mm-hmm.
And then back in the day, they didn't want hemp to come in and basically take over the paper. So they put out all of these articles like, this is so bad. Look at this.
Of course.
The worst thing in the world.
And Rockefellers, John D. Rockefeller was the one with the oil, and he created the mechanism of making drugs out of petroleum, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very strange history, but it's unfortunate that a lot of people that are pioneers in something were doing it for a very bad reason and to make themselves gazillionaires, even with suffering of other people out there, which is unacceptable.
Why does THC get you high, but CBD doesn't? What's going on chemically in the brain?
Two different chemicals. So the stimulus for CBD is more anti-inflammatory. It doesn't have any what you might call hallucinogenic, properties, or doesn't go beyond a certain level of stimulus. And the THC decreases the anxiety. It helps to get your mind and your brain into a much calmer place. So, and even that has been used extensively now. So we have a huge volume of information of people using these things with good outcome. Now, you might see people walking down the street looking a little bit disheveled. They may be smoking or inhaling, because it was all about inhaling the CBD. And I wanted to make a joke about this.
You gotta.
Yeah, and they were, hey man, how you doing? What do you got? I got Alzheimer's. I got Parkinson's. I got this. I stubbed my toe. So I mean, it can be used for many, many things. But I think it's appropriate. I think it's fine. A lot of people do very well with it. So I like that better than medications that can give you bad side effects. Man. Dude.
What's up, man? I've only realized recently that like Scooby Doo was totally they were smoking weed. I don't like Shaggy. Think about it. He's like,
Yeah.
hey man, and then they're eating all these sandwiches. It's like, and the dog's speaking.
Yeah. Yep. You look back at a lot of these cartoons and some of these shows, you're like, wait a minute. When I was a kid, I watched Batman. I didn't know that was the double entendre. Of course, Batman, the TV show, was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Probably the best. Mostly because of Julie Newmar, because she was like the most gorgeous Catwoman. They had this big 6-foot Swedish woman, and she just captivated everybody. But it was a good show. It was fun, and you look at it now and you understand a great deal more than you did when you were a kid.
Someone's just talking about in the chat that a lot of people that suffer PTSD, marijuana helps them a lot. And guess
Absolutely.
What? You know what might help them? Stem cells from Dr. Chris.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
The same patients we've treated with traumatic brain disorders, for veterans that are blown up in vehicles and such, we've treated a lot. And I'm looking back to see how many of those people that I've treated, even going back before our friend Josh, who we did our interview with, dozens and dozens, because way back when I started doing STEM, a company out of Florida was working with people that were injured veterans, and we started, doing some of those treatments and offering and doing that. So a lot of them, and they've all done well, and they've all used the CBD, and some have used meds like crazy, and some have not gotten results from the meds and gotten benefit with CBD. But when we've done the STEM, you're making new brain cells. So that's why your neurotransmitters come back, and your body will help to repair itself.
So someone's just talking about how it helps their dog a lot, the CBD treats, even though they are more expensive than my groceries. I actually used the droppers once.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
All the things that are used for dogs are used for humans, but remember, they did studies on the dogs before it ever got to humans. And other pets and rabbits, I'm sure, and mice, they test everything on mice.
Here's a question related to the CBD. Just how come smoking weed and CBD doesn't damage your lungs in the same way that tobacco does?
Well, there's 4,000 chemicals that are put into tobacco, so that's harsh. You're getting formaldehyde, arsenic. You're getting some really bad things that are heated up into chemical nature, creating smoke damage. It's hot chemicals going into your throat and your lungs. That's why we see tongue cancer, throat cancer, nasal cancer, all the cancers. And years ago, when I was looking at all the cancers and trying to figure out what correlations there were, we know cadmium causes breast cancer. Cadmium is in cigarettes. Aluminum causes Alzheimer's. Benzene causes liver cancer. So on one of my little tangents, I was looking up little things that, cause cancers. You find out that a lot of the chemical exposure and heavy metal exposure correlates pretty well, pretty directly. But heating up chemicals is always a bad thing. There's a PhD who wrote a book. His name was Richard Lewis, not the comedian, rest his soul, who I thought was really funny. And he wrote a book called, I forget the exact title, but the short of it was Chemicals That Are in Your Foods. And the book would show you, like in steak that's not healthy or organic steak, there's 75 chemicals, chicken, 65 chemicals. And none of these chemicals had names. They had numbers and letters, so they were kind of cagey because it wasn't like a name that you could remember. But when heated, to a certain temperature, which is what you would cook the meat at, increases the risk of carcinogenicity. So a lot of the stuff in those foods, in lots of these foods that are filled with chemicals, once you heat them up, you're just creating more cancer risk. And if you're heating up thousands of chemicals in cigarettes, you're just heating bad stuff to go and burn your lungs. So a lot of people who do a little bit of the vaping or who do the dropper, sublingual, or do some of the other techniques of exposure to CBD with or without the THC, it's not burning chemicals going into your lungs like with cigarette smoke. So it's a difference.
That is wild. And I did find the name of the book. It is Analysis of Food Toxins and Toxicants.
Awesome.
By Richard J. Lewis.
Yeah. Take a picture of that because I have to either buy that again on Amazon and show that to patients just so they can get a reference of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You look at the book, you're like, How many chemicals in this food, that food? You'd be shocked.
How is it legal? That's what someone wants to know in the chat.
Well, we can go back
Full circle.
way back, and big chemical companies, everybody knows the names of the big chemical companies that originally started out in Europe for nefarious reasons, making mustard gas and things to kill everybody during war. They came over and they were big chemical manufacturers, and they ruled the roost. They've paid politicians and ongoing have done all this stuff. Look at Roundup is still on the shelves in some stores, big stores where you go and you buy all sorts of stuff for your home. Why would you let a chemical causing agent, which you would spray in and around your house and your animals can get exposed to, why would you let that be anywhere near yourself, your family, or your animals? Because it causes cancer. But they still do it.
I used to spray Roundup as in shorts.
Yeah.
Not good.
Nobody knew. And back in the day, chlordane was used to kill termites in homes. Lots of people did it, because back in the day, there weren't a lot of exterminators out there going truck to truck, house to house, and doing that sort of stuff. So a lot of people were sickened by that. But any company that's doing what they're doing, even if it's a bad thing, just can pay off the politicians and they let them do it. It's been going on forever.
I believe, and someone's talking in the chat about it, it's depopulation, Doc. We do. Some say we have too many people here.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can look at TED conferences with Big Billy, who everybody hates now.
What, the TED Talks talking about?
The TED conference, TED Talks, yeah.
Yeah.
And he talks about if we're careful with
Bill Gates. I'm like, who's Big
medications, vaccines, whatever he says, we should be able to curb the population by 10, 15%. And a lot of people have seen that saying, well, what?
The math ain't mathin'.
What? Yeah. What does that mean? By medications and vaccines, you're going to be able to decrease the population by 10, 15%? This is a big agenda. This is what's going on. So there is a depopulation mechanism. Now, also, I think in 2005, when SARS and some of the other viral epidemics, were trying to pop out, or they were trying to release them, let's put it that way, when they were making vaccines against SARS early on, and it was killing the animals in the study, they stopped the study, and instead of changing or destroying the vaccine, they brought it to Africa. It was given to people over there, which made them fertile. It killed people, but this is what they did. Read it. Look up on that. Look it up. There's information on it. So depopulation has always been a point for those who want to make money trying to kill people off.
Yeah. Just real quick, side note. Hey, can I call to make a general consultation to discuss the best solutions to
Always.
better my health? I do
Always.
need to lose weight and control my sugar. Christina,
Absolutely,
11.
positively, always. 516-794-0404.
Is the office open right now?
No.
Okay, so
I think they're probably gone by now.
Leave a message.
Any Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday, we're there. I try to get the staff, I chain them up when they're in the office so they can't leave. And I try to get them to stay to 2 o'clock, 2:30 on Saturday because I got to run over here. But I let them go so they can go home and have fun with their families and dogs and pets. So, yeah, certainly everybody benefits from learning about their body, fine-tuning what to eat, what not to eat, exercise. Put the whole thing together, you feel great. You feel like $1 million.
It's huge. I'll be going.
There was something else I wanted to comment on. Specific to, what was I going to...
She said, I'll call Monday. Not Monday. Monday they're closed.
Well, Monday they're there. The staff
they're
is there
there.
answering calls, getting charts ready for the week. So you certainly can call at 10 o'clock or so.
Boom. There we go. We were talking about depopulation, I believe.
So I think the idea of that has been around for a very long time. Get rid of people you don't like. And if you really want to start jumping on stuff, let's talk about Margaret Sanger. A lot of people know who she was. She started a very, very big organization, and her platform, please look this up, people, was to get rid of populations of individuals. And she did not like the black or African American population. And, that whole mechanism of eliminating or aborting those individuals was what she ran her platform on. Look it up. And you could look up Bill Gates' father, what he did and who he worked for. Same organization. So there's a lot behind the scenes that people just, especially young people, they have no idea about. And I tell them, go look, learn, read. Don't take it my word for it.
That's insane.
And there are people that, dare we talk about the GW, term?
Yeah, global warming. Oh, yeah, of course. What do you mean? We're on Rumble today, Doc.
We love our Rumblers because we can speak freely and have a wonderful discourse. Now, people that were around in the 60s and 70s knew that, we're running out of gas. There'll be no more gas, blah, 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 gas shortage, whatever. Luckily, I had friends that owned gas stations. I could go there in the middle of the night and gas up my car. Didn't have to wait online, but alternating day. So we never ran out of gas, but they said, we're running out of gas. That at one point, I remember watching, and someone posted this, and even Leonard Nimoy was on a show saying that, we're going to freeze to death. The world's going to freeze over. That was, I don't know if that was in the 70s or 80s. And then acid rain was going to destroy us and all these different things. And you started to think that maybe they're just doing this to kind of get everybody scared and then pay more taxes.
Yeah.
And then, do more things that would make certain people more money. And there were like 5 or 6 or 7 things like that. And then global warming came around. And Big Fat Al Gore, wait, did I say fat? Big Al Gore did his whole movie and ran his whole thing. And within a few months into it, they found out that his house in Virginia was the most energy inefficient house. And his traveling all over the world with his jets and stuff, and all of these elite people were telling everybody else to do stuff, but they wouldn't do it. And then you hear about some of these other people who are a little bit more rational. There's one guy, I think his name is Dan Pena. He's a billionaire.
Sounds familiar.
Hardcore, tell you the truth, cussing right and left kind of guy, said, look, if the water's going to rise 10 feet like they've been saying for many, many years, and it never has, Plymouth Rock is still above water, all these other places in the world have not had water levels rise like that. If the water levels rose 10 feet, Florida is going to be gone. Half of Florida's gone. So is Mexico. Europe would be gone. 10 feet's a lot.
Said Manhattan's going to be underwater by 2030.
Look at what happened when the hurricane hit. And my friends that were in the city, up to 43rd Street, they were underwater. And all the basements and all the generators were wiped out. And that wasn't a 10-foot rise in water. So show me evidence that this water was going to rise. They've been saying it for years, but it never happened. It's the next thing to drive you crazy about, so you get used to this. And then people who don't understand the fluctuations of temperature, fluctuations of the ice age, way, way back, etc., that we're not in this crisis. But there are some people who hold on to 2 or 3 terms and use that. But then you ask them a question about the reality of any of this, and they just can't support it. So I'm sure I'm not going to make any enemies here, but...
Yeah. As our buddy Mike Crispy says often, we're very buoyant right now. We're not underwater.
Correct.
And then one other thing, because you when you're in high school, middle school, they're saying global freezing. I'm in high school, middle school, they're saying global warming. The other thing they would say, all the and credit to them, they don't know our teachers, but they're like, when you are older, the average age that you're going to die is going to be like 120. Like all of this advancements, like you didn't even know. It's like, okay, you
it's just no spouting idea. Stuff that they want you to think that they're knowledgeable. They want you to think that they're doing something for a good cause, but they don't really investigate the cause well enough on both sides to see what's real. It happens all the time. people say, "Oh, I can't get off my cholesterol medication because." But I say, "Yeah, but your muscles are having an issue. You have atrophy. Your ejection fraction is weaker." It's just they believe something, and you can't change their mind a little bit, which is sad. I've always been a person to say, "Hey, let me read, let me learn. All right, maybe it'll change my mind, but let me figure it out first." And in doing that, sometimes I do change, and other times I don't. But
Some would say God is in charge of the climate. God's got it.
absolutely, and it hasn't changed that much over thousands of years. If you go back to a certain point, you could say, "Oh, well, we're a little warmer than we were then." But before that, it was, the same warmth we have now was fine for a million years. And, it's just, there's so much non-truth going around that people just don't know what to believe.
Yeah. And this is a sidebar, but you mentioned Plymouth Rock. Have you ever seen a photo of Plymouth Rock?
I think I did.
It's like Plymouth Pebble.
Yeah.
Like it's not
gigantic.
What you think is like, in elementary, it's like, oh, this big rock.
Oh, yeah, you think it's the size of a house.
This big.
Yeah. And you could look at any of the archaeological digs and things over many years. Of course, there are places where the ground has been damaged or lost, either from massive storms, hurricanes, earthquakes, etc. The Minoans in and around Greece. I mean, there's a lot that you can see, but it's not as though the water level has risen so much that it created that. Pompeii, same thing, all of that, which I love, by the way. I love every bit of history. History Channel I've loved for many years. Discovery Channel, all that stuff. I don't watch any fluffy, I don't want to call it New Age crap, but it's fluffy New Age crap.
I'm with you.
The housewives of here or there, who cares?
My wife's not happy with me about that.
Who cares?
I can't do it. I'm like, please.
What do I care what they do or don't want to eat?
Watching their fillers get bigger and bigger.
I just would rather look at history because it fascinates me to no end. And there are times when I'll watch it and I'll call my friends and say, "Hey, put on the History Channel. They're talking about the aqueducts bringing the water down from the mountains into Rome." I'm like, how do these people do it? And I love watching the stuff on Egypt and finding mummies and, how they created what they created and how civilizations lived and thrived, and it's amazing to me. The Bogman, there's a guy named Otzi who was found somewhere in the mountains up in Eastern Europe. And, his body was really well preserved because he was in a bog and frozen, so his skin is great. I mean, everything there is great. He's all kind of curled up, but they knew what he had to eat because they went into his stomach and were looking at food components, which was brilliant. Then they found out he had Lyme disease. And this was like right after the big Lyme outbreak here. And I was like, are you telling me 1,000 years ago or more that bug was here and caused that guy to have some sort of joint-related issues? That's wild.
Wow.
I knew full well that in the 1800s, they had Montauk-knee, which ended up being Lyme disease because doctors tested it. They kept the samples. And I thought that was pretty wild. Wow, 1800s. Didn't start in 1977. It started before. Then you look back, you're like, oh, my God. Sometimes you say, wow, there's nothing new under the sun. But there have been crazy things going on in world history forever.
Craziness. That's wild. So, hey, did it, now people are asking, was it created in a lab or not? I guess not.
Was what?
Lyme disease.
I don't know. There are many variants of it. So I know what was created in a lab, clearly. Recently,
say it now.
I know clearly what was created in a lab and by who. And you could research that. Certain bugs were not because they didn't have the capacity for that. But a bug that's hundreds of years or thousands of years old was just in nature. See, my question now is, because I start to get a little scientific on this, is that if Lyme disease was there, if you went back in time, and you're not going to see papers written on this, because at that time it didn't exist, but were there things that people ate or took that made them better? If you had a swollen knee What did they do back then? Did they put a poultice on it? Did they eat certain foods that made their knee better? What did they do to treat that sort of thing or infection back in the day? And as time passed, you saw different people using more natural things over the years for that. So that's pretty cool. That's interesting to me. I've got to find a book that would look at the earlier interventions that people did for some of the ailments that they had back then.
Oh, I see.
That's cool to me.
Another episode coming out. I like that.
Not that family out in Calabasas. I don't want to be mean. But yeah, I do. No, I don't. Yeah, I do. No.
It's a constant. It's my life.
So let's see what else can we talk about. CBD we spoke about, Alzheimer's patients. Well, the issue is, are they going to forget to take it? You've got to like have it around your neck or something. But I think it's good for them to take it. A few weeks ago, we spoke about NAD. NAD is an important, super important cofactor in just about every chemical reaction in your body. So, as you would understand, clearly, I'm a huge fan of bringing back all the things that you require for your body to function well and let that repair your body using NAD, correcting hormones, vitamins, sermorelin, which helps to give you some of your IGF-1, which repairs your body. It's the active component of growth hormone. Stem cells repair your body, all your organs, etc. I'm not that big on using drug to change your symptoms, but let the disorder progress. So I'd much rather use things that are safe and simple for you to get healthy than to be unhealthy, but being on lots of meds. So if you're looking to get off your meds, if you're looking to learn about your body, this is certainly the mechanism to do so. Garden City office, 516-794-0404. Website, drcalapai.com. We're going to be sending out some more cool phone calls and text messages and emails about what we're doing. And we're asking people to tell their family and friends to listen to our show. We reached 180,000 views a few weeks ago. And I don't think we were on the full spread for an hour and a half on the front page. Can we look to see if we're on the front page in the big window?
We're there, baby.
We're there. Front page, big window. I feel like I'm getting famous again.
You don't think I've been checking that all show?
No, it's cool. I love it. I mean, I've done this forever. I'll do it as long as I can. I apologize for my voice because I go from seeing patients and then my voice gets a little raspy and then I talk more. When I get home, I won't talk to the dogs. I'll just gesture and make sure they're happy.
Someone said, you got to sing to us again, Doc.
Yes, I do. I would have done karaoke last night at the Audrey, a lovely little wine bar in Oyster Bay, but my costume did not arrive.
It's messed up.
And I was prevented from going to do my usual sing-song. But every Wednesday, whether 2:30 in the afternoon or 7:30 at night, I try to take singing lessons with a lovely young lady named Joy.
For the record, he doesn't need the lessons.
She's at Catalano Music. I've learned a lot of stuff that I didn't really know before. I mean, I could listen to a song like I have my whole life and sing it, but some of the specifics that people that write music know, it just makes a lot of sense to learn about that, to find out about it. And then we're singing Sinatra, Bobby Darin, Tony Bennett. Tony's voice is a little bit high.
A little bit.
So I got to bring it down a little bit. Matt Monroe, Elvis. So yeah, it's fun. I've singing in the shower my whole life. The girl asked me, have any experience singing? I'm like, yeah. She's really, what do you do? I said, well, singing in the shower every day my whole life is experience, and I've got a lot of that.
Gives you the perfect reverb, you know?
Yeah. Great sounds. You could open the door a little bit, close it, you can just change it around a little bit. The summer wind.
There we go.
All righty, friends. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. So we were just talking, Frankie and I, before, about maybe Monday to Friday having the podcast show at potentially 5 o'clock. We'll let you know further about this as soon as we can figure it out. And our Saturday show here, maybe play again on a Saturday, maybe play it again on Sunday. But I'd like to be able to get the podcast on 7 days a week, etc. And progress from there. Hopefully we'll hit over 200,000, maybe 220, 230 today. Tell your family and friends. Thanks. God bless you all.